the champion select. And I really like that you bring that up because Kingzone are not scared to push the envelope a little bit. Try a different strategy, see whether it works, mix things up, and when it's a best of 3, they can just come back and win the next 2 games if they want to. They, of course, haven't had to, with only 0-2s or 2-0s. But let's have a look at this. Vladimir going to be banned away first off, and there's Khan's Jace hitting the bench very early.
Yeah, ROX Tiger's done the scouting report. Seems this Khan guy pretty good at Jace, so ban that one out. It also is a coverage for Linderong if he wants to play Gnar. He actually hasn't played Gnar this season. That's not necessarily a huge pick for Khan either. So given the Gnar priority is a bit lower, we'll see if someone returns to it in the draft. No one's allowed to play bouncy castles anymore, as Galio's banned away every game. Somehow, the more things change, the more Galio remains banned.
Yep, exactly. Interesting, though, that Kingzone are going to be banning that one away because BDD was, of course, historically a fantastic Galio player.
It's a bit of a... First pick really does pigeonhole you because it's not a flex pick.
You like to pick it with the Jarvans, with the other
red
sort of
side,
like,
it
combo
feels so
pieces.
good, as you say. You get a cool combo on red side, but on blue side, so far hasn't held the same value. See where they go from here. And Zoe banned. Okay, so we saw BDD kind of run rampant against the Zoe from Ian, but that was against MVP, so hard to say. Well, that was just a one-off, and Azir versus Zoe does seem at least slightly to the favor of Zoe, so just going to hold the respect there. This is Kingzone kind of saying these 3 champions are annoying, we don't want to deal with them, rather than kind of power picks.
Yep, well,
ROX Tigers, I guess you could say the Galio is a power pick, because Lava was the first one to re-debut the Galio into the meta, and Tom Kench means that support might be pretty highly prized here. We're getting more and more into a Taric meta. Kingzone love the Braum. With Gangplank available, not always taken as a first pick. Something like Ryze is usually taken a little bit higher priority, and Kingzone have been playing a lot of mind games this season with hovers. So wait and see if they actually lock in the Gangplank. They do. Okay, so first game on Gangplank for Khan for 2018.
First Gangplank game for Kingzone of 2018 as well, which is quite interesting. Does sort of make sense, though, because their games have been so much shorter, not necessarily looking for a whole lot of that scaling, but I was looking at that 80 carry pool, and the Kalista certainly standing out. Couple of games for Prey so far, and Sangyun 3 games so far as well.
It is full power. No 80 carries banned is quite rare.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, well, we'll do some trading and see how it goes. If you look at ROX Tigers, they've played a lot of Kog'Maw comps, but Sangyun traditionally is a big Kalista player, and Kalista priority, no surprise, is still sky high in the LCK. So the Braum is taken away, a denial from Kingzone and a power support in its own right. Looks like they'll probably consider at least 80 carry. They already hovered the Kalista as their first pick here, and they will just go for the Kalista. So Kalista Braum kind of does a bit of everything. The Braum value very, very high. Interesting. Okay, so with Braum
I like
there,
denying the Kalista as well, because Prey has been fantastic on it so far. A couple of games, of course, hasn't actually died so far playing the Kalista, so denying that one away makes sense. But Ezreal Azir feels like pretty simple to lock in if they want to, but Ryze is available as well. BDD, of course, fantastic Ryze, and they've got anything that they want, really, in the mid lane, apart from, you know, Galio Zoe, who BDD doesn't really want to play anyway.
I mean, you're a bit dissuaded, because BDD's Azir is so fun to watch.
I know, right?
The Ryze does well in the Azir matchup. It's also what Kingzone have defaulted to many times this season, 3-1 on the Ryze, 3-0 when, you know, after that first series against KSV. So because it's more flexible, they'll take it. Kingzone have pretty much the gold standard of a draft on blue side in Korea, because now their ability to play side lanes is insane. Gangplank can ult minion waves across the map. Ryze has the Realm Warp for rotations. Rotational play, macro play from ahead when you have Gangplank and Ryze is tremendous, and already they've got an Ezreal, so they're like, well, we can go for engage, we can go for peel. Ezreal has self-peel, so you have a lot of options. Kingzone have not shown anything. We are waiting to see what the top lane choice by Linderung into the Gangplank is, with the Vlad being first banned on blue side.
I do really like what ROX have done here, though, starting off the bans. The Alistar being taken away means that is another engage tool that Kingzone aren't going to have. Because so far with these 3 champions, yes, like you say, really solid as far as getting those side lanes working, but if they want to actually start a fight, they don't necessarily have that just yet. So I think also feeling like a Jarvan could be an option here to take away from Peanut if they want to, just because he also has a bit more of that reliable engage with the Cataclysm to try and get him in there.
Yeah, if you can deny any engage and just make Kingzone kind of reliant on Snowball or on Vision plays only, then I can understand that perhaps you'll feel good, even if Kingzone can just, you know, roll the laning phase and it not matter. Denying a win condition from them is always good. Taric is looming as the likely support with so many top-tier supports taken away, unless Gorilla wants to get frisky. You know, like you say, when it comes to initiation, a Leona out of nowhere would be pretty attractive. Ornn ban on blue side because ROX have already shown their support, and Braum answers the Ornn. So top lane Ornn against Gangplank we've seen do very, very well, at least in the early laning phase when it comes to getting a CS lead and providing that reliable initiation. So depending
on which region you're in, he also solo kills all sorts of top laners as well. Can be terrifying, but there's the Jarvan that we were looking at. And of course, ROX with the first pick here, Songwon, have been playing far and away a heck of a lot of Jarvan so far this season. And that one will be taken. So now what does Peanut hop onto? Does he get into playing the Zac, or is it just going to be a Nidalee comp?
Oh, baby.
Oh, it is. Okay, so who needs a tank? Who needs initiation? Let's just go for some poke, smack people around, and then use Gorilla's Cosmic Radiance if we ever get engaged on and turn it all around.
And the Taric also allows you to skimp on tankiness. Now, usually that means one tank, which is the Taric himself here. You'd probably prefer a second one. The reason why you like the Taric is because you can pull off the Baron baits that have failed a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams who had a 4-1 Baron with a Kha'Zix tanking it. He basically dies the first couple of shots, and it's all over. Thoughts here for ROX Tigers. How do they want to bust the Gangplank? Now it looks like it's going to be their eventual lock-in. They were thinking about the Lucian for lane, but with Taric and Tyr, you basically have what was described as Wraith as a melee-range Soraka. You can ult as well. You can actually turn off Baron very well with the Taric, and you can also start it with no tank available. They don't even have one outside the Taric. So flexibility, laning phase strength once he picks up the Tyr. Gorilla brought it into the meta. Everyone's copying it. The melee range Soraka Taric is here.
Yep, I love it. I also love Taric into melee matchups as well, because it means he can actually get into the face of those minions and start spamming that heal pretty early on. If he does have that Tyr, get that one stacked up. Keep Prey well and truly healthy as well. So Kingzone, definitely not a tanky lineup. Definitely something that they're looking to snowball, but with a little bit more scaling on their side, especially with Khan on the top side on the GP.
But they didn't want to go too far into the scaling because you think, okay, Jarvan was taken away. Where was initiation? They could have gone Zac, right? Zac was available and would have provided initiation. But it's more about Kingzone wanting to be scrappy, wanting to play their own game, get their snowball going, and then look for a quick victory, which is what they usually are looking for, rather than the more teamfight side of, say, a team like KSV. I feel like KSV and Kingzone really are yin and yang. They really are opposites that together might make a very fearsome series in the second round robin. ROX Tigers draft is very comfortable as well. Talk about win conditions when we get in there. Lots to like about both sides when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I actually feel like ROX, if Lava can step up in that mid lane, we've seen the Azir Ryze matchup go certainly more so in favor of Ryze in recent history, but if the Azir is able to get there, he can actually shove the Ryze around a little bit early on. So we'll see whether it is something that the ROX Tigers are going to be able to get done. A lot of revenge necessary against three former ROX Tigers. Let's get onto Summoner's Rift for game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Aww. ROX fans at least still speaking up, but just not as many of them, Pop Smithy.
It's a bit of a civil war match, given that, like you mentioned just in the intro, it is ROX Tigers 2016, 3 members of that squad against the current ROX Tigers. Unfortunately, it's esports, so the loyalty is usually with the players rather than the orcs, so Kingzone come in with a much bigger fan base than the ROX Tigers, but at least ROX have had things to cheer for. In 2017, it has been a significant improvement from a squad that lost Shy, that in general didn't strengthen in areas you expected. They got Kuza, and you're like, all right, here's a premier mid laner, don't even play him. Only single game. They preferred Lava, who has been good. They're trusting in the process here, ROX Tigers, but against a star-studded lineup like Kingzone, it may not be enough.
Yeah, this is the scary thing, is that the competition for the ROX Tigers hasn't been as steep as this particular game just yet. So this is where a lot of the weaknesses do start to shine, right? If you get into a position where you're found wanting, does mean that those weaknesses are certainly more pronounced.
So let's talk about how ROX Tigers win the game, because Kingzone have a couple of different ways. That's, you know, you're on the ball with that. But getting there is usually the struggle. You know, the journey is what we talk about in the games. Otherwise, they wouldn't need casters. Just someone saying GG on like an air horn at the end of the game.
Oh, well, I could do that.
It doesn't pay that much, Atlas. You'd probably have to get a second job on that one. But the journey to get there for ROX Tigers, think about how they've won the games this season. It's a lot of Linderung and Sungwon running over a top laner. And most famously against SKT, that was Untara on Gangplank. So Gangplank, certainly the sort of top laner who can be run over with repeated ganks. That's why we saw a Kazakhstan in the second round coming through against Sungwon, as that's been his favorite. Spirit animal has been the Kazakhs. Still can do dirty things with Gnar and Jarvan. The Narvan combo, as they're known as, and at level 6 for both, you can Gnar into the Cataclysm wall and get the stun there. So we might see that approach. And if you can get one lane snowballing, you do have a fearsome teamfight comp. They have a lot of initiation. Jarvan, the Fate's Call, Gnar from a flank. They can win fights here 5v5, true 5v5. But Kingzone are not interested in 5v5. The moment you saw Nidalee and not Zac, very clear what the game plan is. It's very clearly about skirmishing and getting side lane strong, about playing the map with the Realm Warp and the Gangplank ultimate to get those minion waves going. They want a big turret lead going into the mid game. So for the side of Kingzone, we really are looking for them to just have Nidalee Battle Ward, a very common term that was invented to describe the Nidalee playstyle of getting in the face of your enemy jungler and making him accountable. Don't need wards if you know exactly where he is, and disrupt. So ROX have happy stories as the game goes on, but Kingzone are once again trying to play to their strengths. Shortest average game time of 34 minutes. That's what they're looking for here, a pre-34-minute victory.
Yep. Fidity able to get some vision down here on towards the top side. You can see ROX well and truly aware of where all that is. We'll see what Kingzone are going to be able to do, because this is different from the last composition that we saw them play. It was very clearly 1-3-1, which worked so beautifully well with Khan on a top lane carry that never wants to leave lane. Now he's able to assist the rest of his lanes with that cannon barrage.
Peanut's struggle is that he was actually 11-0. 13-0 on the ROX Tigers as the Nidalee. The losses were on Najin when he was a rookie, and also this season onto Kingzone DragonX. So 13-0 his record. There might have been 12-0, could have been 1-1 on the Najin days, I forget exactly, but ROX Tigers was undefeated on Nidalee, so starting off the season with a loss. Definitely hurt that record a little bit, but still very, very impressive. It's his trademark champion next to his Lee Sin.
Yeah, when you mentioned Battle Ward, I was like, pretty sure that is in fact a word that was come up with based on Peanut, his playstyle.
Buffless was also a thing for a certain LPL jungler who got no buffs against Peanut's Nidalee, so needs no introduction.
Yeah.
Real legendary pick.
Well,
Never played it on SK Telecoms. Never played a single game of his Nidalee, despite it being a trademark, not fitting into the SKT ethos of what they were looking for from a jungle.
Also didn't quite fit the meta as much.
True.
When he was over there as well, so you can understand it, but I was personally disappointed. It's farming here to start things off. And it's not something that I'm used to talking about with these Kingzone games, because normally the action starts pretty fast. Normally we've got Peanut going aggressive, or Cuz going way too aggressive and dying in the early game, things like that. And often we've got massive CS leads. At the moment, Khan down by about 6. That's pretty much a wave that he's going to be collecting underneath that turret now. And ROX with a lot of lane control, at least on the top side, and that's generally what they want to start off these games.
But you have to say, you know, Kingzone put up the white flag. They drafted Gangplank first. There was going to be some level of bad matchup for the GP that has been the meta, counter-picking into the Gangplank. So ganking top side is not possible for Peanut, because if there's a counter gank and he and or the top laner die, it's going to make the situation worse. So he's trying to stay away from the top side. Mid lane has been pushed in, and, you know, happy times for BDD. It's a good matchup for Ryze. And then bot lane is Ezreal Taric. Early game, so you're not going to be doing anything there. So they want a lot of options. So he's just happy to hit his farm spikes, get the Tracker's Knife, start getting defensive vision wherever possible. And they can always reassess when ultimates are available. Specifically, Gangplank picking up his ult allows cross-map plays to be so reliable to see it pinged, just as I mentioned the point. So
that was very good timing, Papa.
It's a smart restraint from Peanut. He doesn't need to be the star on Nidalee from the starters.
Whoa.
That's an aggressive teleport, but it's just a Braum.
Yeah, it's just Key turning up. Oh god, another spellbook support coming in. Gorilla actually going to be opting out of it on the Alistar this time around.
He needs some tankiness. His team has no
Sorry,
tank.
on the Taric this time around.
He's going for Guardian Taric because, you know, at the end of the day, that's all they have for tankiness, so someone needs to roleplay a tank here. And that's going to be Peanut. Notice that Sungyun doesn't go for the Spellbook Callista that Teddy was having a great time on yesterday. Spellbook Callista allows you to circumvent the third item QSS, just change to Cleanse with your Summoner, and be able to keep up the double lifesteal build. We'll talk more about that next time we see a Callista with Spellbook, but here just lethal tempo. So for the really big Ren sets and team fights with that choice.
Also, like, there isn't anything that you need a QSS for necessarily, so Cleanse actually would have been absolutely fine. But interesting. Having the extra damage certainly does feel good, but not having a Spellbook feels like you're the kid that didn't really get the memo, and, you know, at the high school. People are looking at you going, oh, he didn't know that you're supposed to take Spellbook all the time on everyone.
We're also that kid that missed a memo, and sadly that memo is 8.2 patch notes, as we are still on patch 8.1 for this week. Will only be the next Tuesday match day, so 6 days from now we will move to patch 8.2. If you're interested in that, I'm sure there are going to be lots of great games from other regions on 8.2 this weekend, but we're stuck with 8.1, so Relic Shields all day in the bot lane.
Yep, you can certainly tell that it's 8.1 because, yeah, those Relic Shields still chilling down there. Nothing changing as far as the meta on the bottom side of the map. But you can see Songwon hasn't found a way in to affect this map at all so far. And I was thinking that, you know, if this was, say, a Kongdu Monster game, you'd have Raze trying to get a level 2 gank off, trying to get a level 3 gank off, and seeing whether he can really get ROX moving, or in his case, Kongdu Monster moving, but it wasn't something Songwon has been able to do thus far. Very careful of Kingzone being as far as when they're pushing their waves forward and the kind of vision that they've been able to gather.
It's always one of those weird scenarios when you're against a Nidalee of, well, I can't really put down the aggressive vision because I'm afraid of Nidalee just spearing me and chasing me down back into my own jungle. Then you don't have advanced vision, and then you're not likely to gank because you're unsure where the Nidalee is. So unless Nidalee's on a ward, there is that innate risk with making an aggressive play, even with flash up as a Jarvan. So end result is that Khan is in the standard 15-ish CS down on Gnar around 10 minutes mark, but no ganks happening, like you say, means that the tempo hasn't been set by the ROX Tigers yet.
Yep. Kleptomancy also means that Kingzone are just ahead. Even if the top lane is winning for ROX Tigers, double Kleptomancy is pretty busted. And having a CS advantage in the mid lane also helps out. BDD having a great time, wanting to grab that Catalyst as soon as he possibly can. Probably can afford it right now. He hasn't been back for quite some time.
And 3 tiers for the old ROX Tigers. Now,
oh, really? Like tattoos under the eye?
I mean, look, they actually have 3 tiers.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's like one of my really bad solo queue games.
It's 3 tiers and a Frostfang. A lot of blue items here.
Oh, wait. 3 tiers on different players.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. That's much better.
And the post-game screen, you can sell some items to make it happen, but a lot of tiers going on. Tier Taric to make him that true Soraka. The build, if you're wondering, in terms of skill order, it's usually Dazzle level 1 just for a bit of lane presence. EWQ, you know, so a bit of everything. You go a second point in Q because then you get 2 heal charges, so it matches your passive. Gives you basically 100% uptime on getting a decent heal on the bot side. Then you get a tier, you max Dazzle for lane control because he does pretty good base damage. You can push the minions with it on 280 at highest level, and you can use your abilities with no regard to mana. You can actually be that melee range Soraka. And then in team fights, you have the ultimates. So that's basically how Taric plays out right now. It makes it very non-interactive in the bot lane, sadly.
Yep, does feel like that Soraka-type playstyle. Is spamming the heal over and over again. Certainly is effective, but it's not super exciting as a playstyle.
I hear a Gangplank ultimate.
Yep, some dudadunks.
I believe that was Lindaran trying to hold the wave in topside and the Cannon Barrage to push it in, stop the Gangplank from being horribly overextended as he walked back to lane. Was off screen, so no indicator on the minimap to tell that, but believe that was what happened.
Well, Khan is actually trying to indicate to us, just ping towards the top side of the map, so maybe that was what he was pinging. Someone on his team saying, wait, why is your ult on cooldown?
I think he was basically for minion control with the ping even. He was just saying, okay, either they're going to group it or hard push, and I'm afraid of a gank. That was basically a early warning there for Peanut on where the jungle pathing will be. We know that Jarvan's just hard farming. Has gone Warrior in chat. That's fun. It's our first Warrior Jarvan since very early parts
feel
of
like
week
maybe,
1.
Yeah, very early in week 1. First couple of days.
I believe it was actually Ambition and maybe Songwon on the first day who kind of had this tete-a-tete where Ambition was like, I believe in Cinderhulk, and then another jungler was back in the Warrior chant, and Songwon go on the Warrior side. So Ambition had won when it came to junglers who've been going purely Cinderhulk, but early game damage is going to be there for the Jarvan.
I do really want to talk about ROX's ability to build up vision on the bottom side of the map. You can see this trio of wards on the red side jungle of Kingzone, and it's been there and spotting Peanut so many times. I think one of them was even a zombie ward that just sat in a brush that wasn't actually cleared. And you can see ROX continuing to challenge, making sure that Peanut has to be held accountable, and also knowledge of where he is there the whole time. Songwon has been able to stay a little bit more invisible on this map, just meaning that inherently that pressure has been there. It's why Khan was frightened earlier on, and why ROX have just been so calm and collected with how they've played out this early game, despite the fact that they're sort of passively falling behind based on the busted nature of Kleptomancy as far as make and bank.
Yeah, they have a lot of control on the bot side red jungle. That's why Nidalee was spotted at every moment walking over wards. Hit level 9 very early. He's actually got the sweeper before Songwon is still level 8. So got to shop in and hit level 9 with the power farm, which takes away some of the power of all the warding we saw come through from Songwon and the rest of his team. But for now, it's just lane control, just pushing in the bot side. They haven't been able to crash an objective. While you might look at this and say, okay, Kingzone, they've got the early draft, we like ROX Tigers in the late game, they're not doing enough. We've already seen Kingzone can kind of farm out to a point and then turn it on and win the game in one single Baron buff power play. Getting something like a Rift Herald, speeding up the game is what they're doing now, one item in.
Well, Peanut not going to be able to get the Crimson Bramble back, and there's the stopwatch used. That's going to get BDD out, but Linderong's down here, flashes on top of Peanut. That should be first blood, and it is going to go over to Linderong, but they trade it. In comes Keegan to protect Lava as the Cannon Barrage does protect BDD at the same time, but that's a 1-for-1, and certainly not what Kingzone really wanted in that particular point in time, because Peanut now off the map, unable to challenge.
Yeah, Roam was heavily punished there. Great roam down by Linderong from the top side. Gameplank always going to be second. They end up going 1-for-1, but like you say, not ideal for actually getting control on the map. This is the time in the game where Kingzone want to start pushing up vision, want to start taking the Rift Herald. I think Rift Herald, to me, is one of the key objectives here early for Kingzone to start to accelerate the pace of the game. Khan has to back away. ROX is in a good position in terms of their lanes, particularly in the top side. Now it's really all about Songwon's first move, because we still haven't seen a Cataclysm 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah. Well, certainly, commending ROX for their ability to control this map and also understanding where they need to have their power. You mentioned the Rift Herald sort of just coming online as an objective that you can actually take. Blue buff not going to be taken here right now. Peanut does decide that he needs to clear everything out on the bottom side first to make sure that Songwon's not going to be frustrating. Lava takes his by himself. It's a little bit sad. The Emperor of Shurima having to do things for himself.
Oh, the blue buff
that was very
was
close.
almost stolen by Ezreal.
Gray had his eye in.
Yeah, they had a ward next to the camp, so had a good idea of when to ult there.
Well, Peanut still moving down towards the bottom side, meaning that Kingzone can pressure. Make sure that Sungyun and Key can't be moving towards that outer turret. Bottom side of the map already, as far as damage advantage, that is in the way of Kingzone. We mentioned, do have sort of the more scaling comp. We feel like ROX Tigers are probably going to get stronger faster this particular stage of the game. However, at the moment they're playing as if they have the early game composition and they're ready to fight, because Peanut moving himself around, getting himself into position, and he is a power point for them, despite the fact that he went down early, as Linderong pretty ham onto Khan at the moment, but not too worried.
Scaling is a bit tricky to talk
yeah,
about.
It's an odd question, isn't it? Because they just have different ideas, right?
Well, they definitely have the ability to turn on the acceleration, and speaking of...
Yeah, Rune Prison does come in. Khan does get the passive down as well, and that's going to be what seals the deal. Khan demanding that Linderong doesn't just get the first blood and go 1-for-1. That's a 1-for-2 now. It feels like Khan's in a great spot.
Yeah, skirmishing is what we said Kingzone need to do. Play around how strong Nidalee is early into the game. Didn't even take a Nidalee. It's great roaming timing from BD. Already had 2 points in his Realm Warp at level 12. Gangplank gets ahead. if you look at ROX, you say, okay, Azir and Kalista, probably the strongest 1 and 2 item champions in the game respectively. They're going to have a lot of fun in the mid game. But if there's not enough 5v5, if they're not focusing damage on the team, it doesn't mean as much.
Oh no, Emperor's Divide comes in. There's a cannon barrage. Khan's trying to turn it around as Peanut thinks the Lava's going to run away, but he really wants to pick up the kill. Sun Turret is going to focus on the minion, and Khan survives. Stopwatch, the savior once again. That is Kingzone grabbing the first turret, grabbing the money onto their gangplank, and having a bit of trouble down here on the bottom side. Concussive Blow's not going to go off. Really nice dazzle there to stop Key from being frustrating. Sangyun's going to rend in disappointment as Kingzone get away.
And out of nowhere, Atlas, look at the gold lead. 3,700 gold from first brick, also the kills.
Oh god, Khan just built a Ghost Blade out of nothing.
He had a Dirk.
Oh, right, okay.
I saw the Dirk.
Okay.
Dirk confirmed.
So he only had like 2,000 gold, something like that, when he goes back again.
These are certainly accelerated for Gangplank. 16 CS down. Got an early kill. The assist also on the 1-for-1 that happened around the mid lane for Kingzone. This is where they spring into life. Expect to see lots of those 2v2s. Don't attempt a 5v5 is really the only mantra. It's the only thing they have on the wall in terms of motivational posters.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty good from the side of Kingzone, as nothing has happened bot lane at all.
Yeah, well, this is what I was sort of talking about, was even the 4v4, if you leave the top lane sort of on an island and assume that Khan doesn't quite have his ultimate available for him, ROX have a really nice 4v4. So that was why I was sort of saying that Kingzone is still playing up towards the bottom side when that 4v4 collapse could come in from ROX Tigers. Still just playing so aggressively, but there's the Emperor's Divide. BDD could potentially be in trouble. Realm Warp isn't going to be used just yet, as there's a Cataclysm, and he's used it too late. Can't quite get himself out, and Peanut, I feel like he was saying bait this, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, the spear went wide. Peanut took too long to get there. Wasn't really able to turn it around. Connection between BDD and Peanut, still not perfect, we have to admit. Still something that's developing, but not sure if there really was a way to get out of this. Peanut was looking to actually go to Rift Hold. You see the ping on to begin. As he walks up, though, we can't see the minimap now, so we know that Peanut is right now starting to walk over. There was no Realm Warp timing. There's a lot of interrupts available for the side of ROX. Just wasn't to be there. Nice gank timing for ROX Tigers, as the Ocean Drake was taken during that replay.
I did actually really like what Songwon did. Waited to use his Flag and Drag until he had to get a flash out of it, and then BDD didn't have the option. He didn't have enough health to throw out that Realm Walk before he died. But now going back, we'll see whether it's going to be a very early Zhonya's. It looks like it with the Arm Guard already completed. So making sure that he will have the ability to use that very frustrating combination to get his way out of trouble.
Second professional game for Khan on the GP. Usually more about lane dominance than this role, but at this point he's basically lane dominant. He is massively accelerated, about a item ahead of his opposing number, so while he doesn't want to run straight at the Mega Gnar and get stunned against a wall, he certainly in a great place to fight. And what did we say? Get this objective, get the Rift Herald, just about to despawn. They get it though, and from this, if Kingzone can rotate with their bot lane, put down forward vision, and start rolling the turrets down, keep playing the skirmishes we've discussed so heavily, they're in a great state to accelerate the pace of the game and continue to deny true 5v5.
Now Praying Gorilla still moving down towards the bottom side, not moving that bottom lane anywhere else. And we'll see whether that's where the Rift Herald is going to join them. But the ROX Tigers able to get a really nice shove on this outer turret in the mid lane, and that'll just go down. Lava, all of that attack speed, utilizing his Nash's Tooth, smacking that thing away. Sangyun mixing up the build path just a little bit with his Rage Blade complete.
Interesting. Rage Blade lethal tempo. We saw this attempted by Kramer for a Freak of Freaks, but got rolled over in lane and couldn't work. Risky to go, but if you can get away with it in an extended laning phase, Rage Blade does, when it's fully stacked, apply 2 spears for every Phantom Order and get a lot of power out of that Devourer-esque effect as the fights go on. Does mean that he's going to delay his Blade of the Ruin King and also his Hurricane, so team fights are going to be delayed a bit with this build.
Yeah. If those sticks had been pulled out, that could have been scary. So you're demonstrating exactly your point there, Pop Smithy. See, he throws a whole bunch of them as Lava doesn't find it that time around. Emperor's Divide just going to be jumped out of the way of. Does get a flash out of Peanut though as BDD. He could be in trouble. Does get the shield from the passive though. Songwon's in trouble. Another Rune Prison does need to be there, but Lava, he's got the damage. He's got enough.
He's commanding respect. You see ROX Tigers actually forcing Kingzone to make defensive plays in a way that certainly MVP were not able to. ROX have a good position on the map. Lava's doing very well in the mid side. The rotation with Key walking over, getting demolished Brokov was big as well, forcing Peanut to take the blue buff away. So when it comes to the map control, that the moment we saw Rift Herald, we just kind of plugged and played and assumed that Kingzone would have. ROX Tigers answering it very cleanly, waiting to see where that Rift Herald is put down. About 50% left on the channel.
Yep, about half the way there. We do talk about ROX not necessarily making proactive plays as far as actually fighting Kingzone, but their vision has been so good. And aggressively placed as well. We noticed that had the vision of the blue buff meant that Lava was able to contest, like you said, denying that from BDD, but look at the pink ward that's so deep on that blue side. The bottom side of the jungle, I think, has been permanently at least quadra-warded. And ROX, now there's no vision on this Baron that spawned 2 minutes ago. Okay.
That was almost going to be a Nunu Azir-esque play that we might see on the new patch. Think better of it. If that was a Cinderhulk instead of a Warrior Enchant on Jarvan, who knows what might have happened there, but tricky Barons around 20 minutes were a big favorite a year ago, but not so much common right now.
Would have been interesting if Key was going to be able to pop over there, potentially help out that one.
They have a lot of hops. In fact, their whole team can hop over.
Yeah. One of them has one that's even called a hop, I believe.
Kingzone really wanted to keep the bottom lane phase going as long as possible. Keep Kalista and Braum away from being able to join into the skirmish as we discuss. Instead, the laning phase is ended not with a turret going down, but just some rotational play on the side of ROX, and also the advanced vision they had to be able to move from bot to mid lane safely. Good vision control on the red side, kind of the entire game by ROX Tigers allowed things as I hear a Fate's call.
Yeah, Sangyun getting himself in there as Gorilla does have the Cosmic Radiance. It goes off, but is he going to be all right? Is the Cannon Barrage gigantic damage? They get one kill. Is Prey going to survive? He gets over the wall. Khan moving himself in, and Linderung, he's going down so low, survives for a long time. Cataclysm, Praise just turns it around. Realm War comes in. BDD will say goodbye to the little Nah. And ROX, underneath their turret, lose the fight 2-1.
They're not able to have enough tankiness to re-engage, and Kingzone come from all angles. They continue to. Prey walks up. There's that Rift Herald we talked about. Answering mid lane turret. Close fight there from both teams. Understandable with ROX's comp, but Kingzone aren't done just yet.
This is exactly what their comp wants to do as well. Grab a couple of picks and then siege, using the Nidalee, using the poke from the Ezreal is key. He's going to reap the benefit for Kingzone on that one. That is going to be in a turret in the mid lane falling down. It's precisely what this composition wants to do.
Oh! Probably wouldn't have killed him as he'd already started to get his Relic shield from the quest back up, but very close there. Well, watch the replay. This looked like it would be very close. Gorilla has to use the ult, so he's basically out of the fight very early. Linderung uses ultimate to try to continue to get things going. Prey gets out after walking straight in, but as it continues to go, suddenly Key, Linderung, and Sungwon are out of the fight. They no longer have a front line for their two threats to do damage in. It's another reason for the surprise for the Warrior Enchant. Feels like Jarvan's helping is really should just be buying time with his CC and being unkillable in the front line. He's relatively killable, even after pivoting once he completed his Warrior Enchant. Doesn't matter that Sangyun and Lava were alive the entire time. Not able to win the fight.
No, not quite there. And I do want to shout out to Prey. That arcane shift over the wall to dodge a Nah, and then a flash back over the same wall after Linderung's flash to dodge a Wallop.
Just great things.
Just incredible. Arcane shift back up again to get out of the Cataclysm, turn the fight around. But speaking of fights, Realm Warp to get BDD right in amongst this one, as Key could just be that first pick that we were talking about. Prey doesn't quite find the ultimate, but Stopwatch is not going to save the big Braum, who sacrifices himself, of course, certainly lore appropriate, but not ROX appropriate. That is not what they want to be seeing, is 6,000 gold, now the lead for Kingzone, DragonX, and a Baron is going to be the call. So ROX Tigers, with only 4 members, can turn this into a 50-50. The Kingzone, you have to feel, have a way of making sure that this one is secured. But look at all this damage from Lava. The barrels doing a fair bit of work. Kingzone turning that one around. Flash out from Sangyun. Scary times.
So couldn't say on it. Re-engage.
Songwon, okay, goes in super aggressively, but Linderung, he's the one that takes down Gorilla. He's going to sacrifice himself for it, though, on Lava. Now at half health, the spear just grazes his backside on the way out. Minion wave in the mid lane means Kingzone are going to move themselves back down there, clear things out, but then potentially just go back and try again. Peanut says he wants to Dragon before that happens. Even that one out.
ROX Tigers are still desperate for a front-to-back fight where they can fight around a tanky frontline and have an Azir and Kalista hit the same target. Completely denied that as the game goes on. Very smart rotation to start this all off. The reason this works is, or before this point, is that Nara's bot lane didn't have teleport. He only gets involved now after the Baron turn had started. Linderung scooping in Khan. Tarek dead at this point. Linderung disconnected from his DPS. If we ever see a fight that really is front to back, with the front line using their CC to allow Sungyun and Lava to focus down members, it's a very high single target build from Kalista. It is Rage Blade and also the Blade of the Ruin King. The Hurricane comes later, but it's a one target with time. We will see Shred from Sungyun. Lava doesn't need an explanation with the 3 items he has. ROX have huge damage, but if we see Kingzone continue to play around the Realm Warp, continuing to abuse things like teleport timing, we will never see the 5v5 that ROX feel confident they could win.
Yeah, and if we see Songwon and Linderung engaging without any of their DPS there, it'll also be the same story. I mean, they ate up a lot of focus from Kingzone. You saw the fact that Kingzone had to spread themselves out. There are pick opportunities there because the Gnar was threatening everyone, but there was no DPS. There was not even any key there hanging out to try and help this one, and it was Songwon that actually engaged the fight. Looking to see whether we can find some more from ROX, because there was an opportunity to make a team fight actually work there for the ROX Tigers. It just didn't quite happen. And
they're really spreading Linderung thin. He didn't have teleport for the previous attempt. That was exploited. Now he's forced to go bot lane to answer. BDD split pushing. So for now, the map movement that's possible with the Unsealed Spellbook and Ryze's semi-global means that Nara's never been in a position to predictably teleport in and make a Nara ultimate play. You look at Kingzone and their general mobility, short of a Gangplank and Tarek, it's very difficult to actually make a predictable play against Kingzone because they have the ability to disengage in multiple different ways. So making Linderung actually powerful in this game going to be a struggle unless Kingzone really stick on to an objective like the Baron.
At the moment, they are just threatening multiple lanes. You can see everything shoving in for Kingzone. Feels like Legacy SKT, you know, moving the vision line up, making sure that they're challenging for everything. This Wraith camp, sorry, the Raptor camp, is going to go to Sungyun relatively easily. But otherwise, everything feels like ROX has to work for it, even if it's in their own jungle. Clearing things out just as I say that. Baron control still certainly over on the side of Kingzone. Lava with some wave clear is going to help things out. So possibly an area of respite just opening up.
This is Kingzone's ideal way to play the map. 1-3-1. Ryze on the bot side has teleport for a true global and also his ultimate. Gangplank pushing in top. CS rolling into both members. Of course, answered by CS for the side of ROX Tigers. But the last bit, what happens? What does the 3 do? Is you need to see Prey controlling mid lane, kind of 1v2, 1v3, while we see the invasion from Peanut and Gorilla to get the vision to actually make the map plays. 1-3-1 into a collapse on a single target, into surprising and outnumbering is what you're looking for with a draft like this. Making that happen is all about vision. Only now have they managed to sweep out most of the vision in the red side jungle. Nice actual interrupt on the recall coming through from Lava. The vision is being pushed up. This is where ROX are really stretched absolutely to their thinnest. And let's see what Kingzone decide to do.
You can see Kingzone actually know exactly the back timing of Lava here. Sungyun grabs the red buff, but that again is going to be something that Kingzone know all about. They've got that deep vision there. That cheeky ward in the top lane just gave them so much. Haven't moved back to the Baron just yet.
What have they moved? If they've moved Gangplank bot lane because he has teleport back, and BDD has changed his summoners to teamfight Ghost Flash. If Ryze is split pushing the top side and they control the red side jungle, you can start hitting the inner turret and then Realm Warp into the Baron to force it. So that's why you see the adjustment. They were waiting out the summoner spell there for Khan. He has his teleport up now. Lane assignment is great. ROX Tigers, they want to catch.
Yeah, setting themselves up for it. Prey not taking the bait, despite his name. And they are going to give up on that particular idea. Big wave crashing towards the top side. BDD, of course, responsible for that one. Hurricane is completed for Sungyun, so as far as item spikes, ROX Tigers are feeling fantastic. Lava also has his 3 items, as well as a needlessly large rod. But you saw how much damage Prey was doing. There's a Void Staff now on BDD.
This is such a tense part of the game.
Oh, yes.
This is the part of the game where Kingzone can break it apart, or if ROX Tigers delay it, make the 6,000 gold lead irrelevant. Team fights do not suit the Kingzone draft, barring a really significant outplay. So it feels like we're watching the point in the game that will really decide it. For now, Kingzone aren't able to advance their position like they would want to.
Okay, could actually be the catch to start this one off. Does stand behind Sang-Yoon, keeps himself safe. Spear's landing, not doing too much, just destroys an overshield, which is certainly what you want. Prey with double buffs, moving over to the Baron. So there is a back coming down for Khan. Wonder whether he's got enough doubloons. Grab himself another upgrade.
Phantom Dancer seeming
Oh,
likely
yeah,
also.
nice.
Going for the highest damage build to a backline. Even if you don't have the best 5v5 comp, the right barrel explosion with Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, and it doesn't matter, they're just dead. So,
Yeah.
what we're seeing here from Khan, a lot of top laners we've seen recently go for the more laning focused build. Don't build the Phantom Dancer or the Infinity Edge till much later. You know, switch over it to Cuvée, for example. Does this pretty regularly. Khan looking for team fight build as early as possible because the split pushing has gone great. It's not been behind in CS, so he can go for more of a thrift shopping build because he hasn't been forced to buy only the cheapest stuff on every bag.
Oh, that feels bad. Songwon forced to give up on trying to kill that pink ward. Didn't want to die himself. This dragon will go down very easily. Peanut locks that one up. A couple of oceans have fallen now. ROX, of course, thankful that they were able to get at least one just to make sure that Elder Drake is at least challenging that of Kingzone's. Next dragon will, of course, be that Elder as well as we're moving further and further into this game. Average game time being taken over here by Kingzone. It's unfortunate for them. Our fastest team in the league might be losing that one to the likes of MVP potentially.
I mean, ROX have had a good defense. They have been outplayed by one map movement, but otherwise have been very competitive in this game.
A lot of other teams as well often roll over after that initial mistake.
And the capitulation, like you say, has been clear to see, but ROX are a much better team than they have been in the past.
Dazzle comes down, good Unbreakable is, okay, Redemption pretty aggressively onto Sang-Yoon. Doesn't take too much damage from it though, as Kingzone continue just to pressure up the lanes. Top lane, BDD still handling that one, but making a bit of a move here to see whether Songwon's going to get himself into a dangerous spot, making sure that they control the vision on that Baron once again.
It's hard to deny very deep vision on the side of ROX. If you walk up and try to ward, say, the entrance to their enemy red buff here, if you're Kingzone, you're very afraid of Jarvan or Azir showing up and just getting a pick. So for now, the vision has been shallow. That means that ROX have been able to just pop a ward around the back of the pit again and again, delay what has been so far 3 or 4 minutes of just purely Baron setup by Kingzone. And in that time, just gold going up for both teams. The gold lead is still there, but the actual amount of gold goes up. That means completed items. That means team fights still very strong for ROX.
Also means that this 7,000 gold lead is starting to mean less and less and less as we are moving towards 4 items for Lava, which is the fantastic moment. That's when you feel brilliant. Rabadon's death cap will be done, and then he'll just have everything that he ever wanted. Probably just waiting for a Banshee's Veil or something cheeky like that afterwards. As Sang-Yoon, he's going to get face checked. Cataclysm comes down. Prey offering some damage, but not enough vision here for Kingzone to properly commit onto what could have been a pick.
Yeah, Cataclysm down. Difficult for Nidalee to look for picks in the late game. Very, very squishy, but they're walking on trying to deny the red buff.
They are going to do so. Peanut is the one that grabs it though, as Prey, his double buffs have worn off. His own red buff there to take, and that will delay the game just for that little bit longer.
So the furthest they've been able to push up vision is starting to be cleared, inch by inch.
Denying a sweeper there. Spear is going to stop Lava's back once again. Lava just can't go back to base this game, dude.
I mean, Songwon and Lava both want to back pretty heavily. That means Kingzone has turned on to the Baron. It's been a multi-minute setup. They start it now. Let's see how long it takes ROX Tigers to check.
Yeah, and look at this. They're not losing any health because, like you say, the melee Soraka in the Taric. In goes BDD, just trying to deny. The flash comes in. He was trying to answer a potential flash from Songwon, whose flash is now on cooldown. He's very, very low. They've kept the Baron leash. There's the cannon barrage. Fate's call comes in, but it's so defensive. And Kingzone just forced the Baron perfectly.
And that was not a 50-50 at any moment. Everyone stopped DPSing the Baron at 2800 HP. They looked for the turn. That's why we saw Cosmic Radiance. We were waiting for the Realm Warp. So was ROX. They had to back away, turn back onto the Baron, burn it down. Very nice Baron setup, even in a very high-tension moment. 5 minutes of setup is eventually paid off with a good Baron take.
Love the timing as well. Khan finishes his Infinity Edge. We've probably got enough for Rabadon's Death Cap coming out. No, not quite yet for BDD, and that's 6 items on Prey as well. I mean, there is massive amounts of damage available, and it's not going to improve from here. There's no Ornn to boost up these items' power. These are going to be elixirs being cycled over and over again, and maybe some boots being sold. So the timing for Kingzone to make that proactive play was pretty much perfect.
And they have so many options now. They can group as 5. You wouldn't usually think of a Gangplank team not playing 4-1, but if they have
or a Nidalee
Ezreal
team as well, right?
Well, if you have Ezreal and Nidalee poking and then Gangplank explodes about on anyone, he's critting you for over 1,000 damage if you're a tank or a DPS. So 4-1 is the most likely lane assignment because then they can get an easy inner turret, and Khan already is going to solo that one down. But ROX have a lot of options. Kingzone, I should say. Sorry, got too excited there. But Kingzone,
ROX don't have a lot of options.
No, they don't. They just have to kind of barrel down. And where is this front-to-back fight they've been desperate for the entire game?
I don't know. It's getting more and more difficult. This isn't about ROX playing poorly, though. I mean, you really can't fault a lot of what they were doing. It's just Kingzone managed to get themselves into a position where ROX had an impossible decision to make and just used their brains. Very, very nicely done.
Underrated tool in League of Legends.
Yeah,
The brain.
Yeah, I certainly don't use mine very often.
I've noticed from the casting.
I was talking about in League of Legends, Papa.
This is your casting in League of Legends.
Oh, you're a meanie.
Well, they're pushing up, and it's just the worst for everyone. Kalista trying to wave clear, not getting hit by a spear. Azir wanting to Azir-sec someone, but with no control of his jungle. And now no longer in the role of the lane aggressor. And Melee Taric being a Soraka here.
Straight up not caring about the turret damage either, as... Okay, Fate's Call was there, but he is not quite going to find anything, and that's going to be another inner turret falling down. Inhibitor turret, of course, in the mid lane was prior to that, and this inhibitor probably should be falling. You can see Prey not under too much threat whatsoever. Has himself the Mercurial Scimitar, which was his 6th item.
Which one do you initiate on? Is it the Ezreal Nidalee Taric? Is it the Realm Warp of the Rise? Is it the Gangplank with 6 items? They all seem like bad ideas when the Baron buff is there.
Well, Lindaron can't actually fight him anymore as Cannon Barrage comes in. Khan wants to find the autos. He's burning down. Not able to find the boomerang damage, and he's just going to tear up this turret. Okay, Sangyun turns up at the right time, but that means that inhibitors fall in the top lane and the mid lane, and Kingzone just playing this stretch ROX out game. And they will never have to worry about a team fight if this is how they're going to play it. So no matter whether they're now too far ahead or not, it doesn't matter. They're just not giving ROX the kind of League of Legends that they want to play.
Yeah, the Kingzone comp with Baron really was the kind of Jaws effect, where everyone was understanding how strong Kingzone with Baron with this comp would be. ROX tried to be respectful again and again. There were all the signs this would happen, but one smart play, the play around Baron, the clean take and attempted turn, then take of the Baron, the sort of thing that MVP, after their mistakes around Baron yesterday, should watch really closely. Every team in the world can learn how to do Baron better. Even Kingzone on a different day won't be able to be as clean around Baron as they were in this game. Trust in the calls, a multi-step process, 5 minutes to get the vision control down to ensure that never was it Azir and Kalista ordering around a pit 5v5 in a true fight. Instead, they play the mind games, they get the Baron, they get the maximum, and now there are a couple of picks remaining in the game. They don't even need a team fight to win the game.
Nope. I've got an Essence Reaver on Khan as well. Basically got 6 items on Peanut, who's... I've been really, really impressed, actually, with sort of his more late-game Nidalee play, because a lot of the Nidalees that we've seen be successful have been early successful and making sure that these skirmishes are being won.
And definitely Peanut has been guilty sometimes of, I'm going to carry the game, it's my Nidalee, rather than just being Nidalee for the team. This is a team Nidalee game. That's not often something you can describe a Nidalee performance. Usually a selfish champion about styling.
Prey.
Prey almost gets styled on. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, there's a lot of healing that comes in afterwards, though, so not actually going to be forced back or anything like that. Some barrels go off, but Key not going to die from that one. Now, Kingzone, unperturbed, going to move themselves up. Prey now back at full health. Sun Turret dies in the mid lane, and BDD, he's the one pressuring over there. And you can see it's the back and forth. It's the fact that the team fight never has to be committed to by Kingzone, because they are able to get themselves out of the way, whether it be with excessive movement speed that Khan's able to grab, with the fact that Gorilla can turn things around with the ultimate, and he's now very tanky, or whether we're going to have pounces and realm warps and arcane shifts. There seems to be options aplenty for Kingzone to make sure that they're dictating everything that's happening. And that should spell the end of this inhibitor very soon, and most likely, Papa Smithy, the end of the game.
Just waiting for there to be just a single mistake. One pick onto anyone. The game may end pretty deathless. So now have those 3 inhibitors. Minion wave in the mid lane, still pretty far away, but 2 other ones starting to crash. ROX need to go for the ultra commit. They've got their flashes up. It's now or never.
Yep. And ROX are feeling like they're underwater right now. They need to try and get onto the surface and breathe, and that is going to be if Kingzone are all dead, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Prey takes a lot of damage from the Sand Soldiers. If they can get a pick on one of these members that are relatively slippery, if the CC can land, then it could be an opportunity. But soon there's just going to be so many super creeps. No more Elder Dragon buff, and the Baron is going to be up in another 40 seconds, so it might mean Baron minions are going to be the ones to break open these Nexus turrets.
They just back away. They have everything. The only thing they can fight for now is the Nexus turrets and the Nexus, but to do that does opt into a Cataclysm under a turret, into Kalista, free farm to 6 items, and Azir also at 6 items. No interest to Kingzone have in fighting against Azir Kalista at this point in the game. Need to continue playing the map. Still probably going to take another 5 minutes at least to close this game, because they've been respectful. This is a respectful Kingzone, not a styling Kingzone, and it probably is deserved respect to the ROX Tigers, who have not been pushovers in Season 2018.
Yeah, and also, it's not what this composition can do, so I like the fact that you mentioned respect, because if Kingzone just lose their heads and try and go in for a 5v5, there's every likelihood that ROX are able to take that one, as Baron has been started up. You can see ROX, they've got a Gnar hanging out in the base trying to defend against these super creeps, but it is just going to be given up. All of the vision available for Kingzone. They wait, they make sure that they take down the Baron exactly when they know that Songwon is not going to be there. And it's been the coordination from Kingzone today that's been so impressive. Oftentimes it's individual plays, Khan doing ridiculous things, Prey having those amazing outplay moments, but this time it's Kingzone making sure that everyone is on the same page and fighting for the things that they want. As the Cataclysm comes down onto 3, 2 members having to flash out as there's the Emperor's Divide, and they grab Prey to start this one off. The Cannon Barrage does a whole lot of damage, and the double kill comes down from Khan. Make that a triple, as Songyun has to flash to get the hell out of dodge. Linderoth makes it a Quadra. Could it be the pentakill now for Khan as he's hopped into the realm?
He can't get that. Oh, he's
but
teleporting
he can't actually get over the teleport.
Oh boy, Yakety
he's gonna
Sax,
come
baby.
down. Oh god, okay. They want to give him the penta. Can he grab it? He doesn't get the damage, and that's going to be the ace. The penta's stolen because of Peanut, but that still means the end of the game. Kingzone DragonX take down the Nexus against the ROX Tigers, who had one last-ditch effort and couldn't make it work.
But Atlas with a Nidalee draft. Kingzone play a game so clean that if you were taking a shower and tried to wash yourselves with this game, you'd be cleaner than you could ever imagine. Beautiful
stuff. The best
stuff.
Body wash is Kingzone DragonX.
I'd buy a bottle for certain. Great performance by Kingzone. One moment where BDD and Peanut weren't synced in the early game aside, basically the perfect game with a draft like that. Such nice stuff on the side of Kingzone. And when you're ROX, you're just like, we never got that fight. How can we never get that fight? I'm sure the coaching staff are saying, but we had the 5v5. Where was the fight? Kingzone were never looking to fight. They were the Switzerland of this game. But in this alternate reality, Switzerland are the world power.
But if we look back to Longzhu game, what was our one criticism of Longzhu? It was the fact that they had one style that they played in 2017 summer. They were incredibly good at it. It won them the LCK, but it was the one thing that we had to say about that team that could be improved on. And now, in sort of back-to-back victories, it's been different styles. It was the 1-3-1, then it was the skirmish, poke, and split in the 4-1 scenario. Make sure you got vision control, take down the Baron. Like, this is a strategic Kingzone that we haven't actually really seen, showing so much versatility in what they can play.
With the Nidalee coming in, with Peanut being confident, opens up compositions that are not just Cuz mining top lane. Great stuff in game 1.
Yep, absolutely fantastic. ROX will have some opportunities to change things in the draft. Side selection will certainly be switched up, so blue side might help them out, but this is a Kingzone DragonX that is playing like they have something to prove. Terrifying stuff if you are a ROX fan, but absolutely fantastic to watch if you're looking to try and improve your League of Legends capabilities and understand how a game is won. We are going to have a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, game number 2 between Kingzone DragonX and the ROX Tigers.